Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 79 of the Let's Play world. I have had quite a week, and I'm going to tell you all about it, but first let me give you a couple of updates on what I've gotten done between episodes. So first thing, I got this building 100% finished. Went in and got all the windows done, lined it with stone on the inside so that we can't see through the building, and it looks great. Second thing, I got one more side of this building installed here. Started working on the blow-through areas here to kind of figure out how to make them spawn-proof. They light up at night, which looks really great. And for the eagle-eyed viewers, you may notice that I made it one skinnier. It used to be 7 windows across, and now it is 6 windows across. The reason I did that is I wanted it to look skinnier. The real building is 6 windows across, and it's really, really unnervingly skinny when you see it in person. I've talked before about the problem of scale in Minecraft, that each block is supposed to be 3 feet by 3 feet, and that usually works fine, except when things get really small or really big. For example, in my coffee shop, that would mean a chair is 3 feet wide, and my coffee machine is 6 feet wide, which seems really, really big. But then when you look at skyscrapers, these are actually really tiny compared to the real-world versions. So let's take the black building here as an example. In the real world, this building is 1,450 feet tall. Now, if we turn that into Minecraft blocks, this building, if it was exactly a replica, should be 483 blocks tall. Now, you can't even build that high in Minecraft. You top out at 319. That's as high as you can go. Our building is only 138 blocks tall. So it's minuscule compared to the real-world version. Similar with the width, our building is 30 blocks wide. If we did a foot-for-foot replica of the real world, it should be 75 blocks wide, which would just be gigantic. So you get a sense of how big these buildings are in the real world. The white building here, ours is 19 blocks wide. In the real world, it should be about 31 blocks wide. So a little wider than this. Ours is about 150 blocks tall. In the real world, it would be 465 blocks tall. So you can just imagine how ridiculously tall and skinny this building is in the real world. Really, really crazy. And that's the cool thing about being inspired by buildings. You can, if you're really, really into it, do a block-for-block copy of a real-world building, and that's super cool. But if you want to do something maybe a little more practical or just get inspired by real-world buildings, that can be really cool too. So all that aside, let me tell you about my week. First thing is I took a little bit of a vacation and I went down to Las Vegas for several days. Had never been when it wasn't like scorching hot. It was actually really nice. It was about 65 degrees the whole time, so that was a nice break, to be able to just go out without a coat on. And I did a lot of just poking around, ate a lot of great food. There was a couple of art things that I wanted to look at. There's an exhibit down there called Omega Mart that is one of the coolest things I've seen in a really long time. I'll leave a link in the description so you can check it out. It's sort of like a weird art exhibit, but it's also like this interactive story that you can kind of work your way through. And it was super, super fun. It wasn't very busy, which I was really happy, about, just because, being around people is a little sketchy and that sort of thing. So, had a super cool time down there. And then when I got back home, I got my booster shot. And man, every single booster seems to hit me a little harder. My first shot was okay. It just felt like I got kind of punched in the arm. Second one, I felt pretty crappy for a couple of days. And the third shot, I just had like a huge fever and I just hurt all over. It was not a good time, but I am super glad that I've gotten it done. So that was my week. Pretty exciting stuff. I think what we're going to do today is spend most of our time down here. We built this Arboretum, which is a collection of trees and plants and that sort of thing. And we built this before all of the updates with the lush stuff and the light updates. So what I want to do is go down there and add some of the new greenery, and then kind of readjust our lighting so that we can make sure it's spawn-proof. When we come out here around the corner to the Arboretum, You can see we've got some moss and moss carpets and things here, the glowberries. But once we get to the gate, it kind of turns back into the old 1.16 landscaping. Lots of grass, some lights under leaves, vines. That's pretty much it. We do have some lighting out here, which I think I want to kind of rethink. Definitely kind of want to label some of this too, because we've got the acacia trees, we've got the birch trees, got the spruce. It'd be nice to have some signage to kind of indicate that. Yeah, just a lot of sprucing up to do out here. So I think I'm just going to start right at the front and just start working my way through it. And then once the sun goes down, we can get a better idea for what's going on with the lighting. So it's pretty dark in a lot of spots, it turns out. And I don't think I realized that this whole side over here is just kind of open to the wild. Well, I think we did some good work here. Let me show you how it turned out. When we walk in the gate, immediately you can see there are a lot more trees going on. And what I wanted to do was just make it look more overgrown, a little more wild. I defined the path a little more, and I kept this theme of some rooted dirt, wood, that sort of thing to keep it consistent. And you can just see there's so many more trees, so many more bushes going on. There's moss speckled throughout. And when we look in this direction, it's almost unrecognizable, like you can't even see across anymore. I surrounded the whole thing in a wall of leaves, so we shouldn't be getting any mobs wandering in. And between the kind of buried pumpkins, or jack-o'-lanterns rather, and the glow lichen, I think we're pretty well spawn-proof. So when we walk in, got these nice azalea trees, and then this path down to our museum. And again, you can see I turned a lot of those brown edges into green, so it looks really, really cool. And we've got the flowering leaves, that sort of thing. Looks great. As we start wandering through, you can see again the bushes, the drip leaf. And when we come over here, you're going to start seeing signs. So our first sign here on the left says Acacia, and there's our acacia trees. Behind us, we can follow this little path down to where the spruce trees are. That looks fantastic. Back in this direction, turn to the right, we've got our birch trees. They are. Again, lots of moss, carpets, bushes. On this side, we've got jungle trees, and I used the drip leaf pretty heavily here. I just think it has a jungly kind of vibe with the big leaves. We wander down here, made this a little denser, and to the right we've got our dark oak, our regular oak, and our azalea trees. Again, a little bit of a wall here to keep mobs from wandering in. This part is open, and I imagine once we get to 1.19 where they're adding the new mangrove trees, we'll have more trees that we'll want to add. But all the way around here, again, it should be pretty well spawn-proof. See the kind of wall here, and again, buried light to keep it lit up all the way around. Down below, like I was saying, we turned some of this brown edge green, and I might continue to do some of it, you know, just kind of sporadically here and there. I think that kind of makes it look a little bit more interesting. Inside, because we did some moss, you can see some of the roof is now speckled green, and again, I think that looks much cooler than just a big solid brown roof. Now that the sun has gone down, you can see it's pretty well lit up around here. There's some spots that seem a little bit darker, but they all have light in them, and as long as it's a light level 1 now, it's spawn proof. Once we get back here, this is where it gets just a little sketchy because we have that open back there. All the way around, pretty well lit up, and pretty well spawn proof. Only when you get over this wall here that you start seeing all the mobs. I want to update the map and see if any of that looks different. I'm sure it's going to. Pretty subtle, but you can definitely see there's more greenery going on there. We should probably update this part of the map as well. While we're doing a little map updating, I had asked you guys a couple of episodes ago for some music recommendations, and a couple of you sent some suggestions. The first one that I spent some time with, I think Kyle recommended it, and it was a band called Spelling with 3 L's. Band, it's actually, I think, a solo artist, and she goes by that name. But yeah, I'd never heard of Spelling before, and I thought it was really kind of cool. I do like, so when I had mentioned that I had been listening to some music, it's real easy to kind of pigeonhole yourself into like, this is what I listen to. But as you know, we're all pretty varied and that sort of thing. I like all kinds of music, you know, pretty varied in my genres, and some of the stuff I listen to is a little weird for some people's tastes. But yeah, Spelling was cool because it was really eclectic and had some really kind of cool jazz vibes. It's it's real hard to explain. It reminded me a little bit of like the trip hop stuff, like Portishead and that kind of thing, from the late 90s, I guess. And yeah, she's got a great voice. So a really, really interesting suggestion. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, if you guys have other suggestions for music, definitely let me know what they are, because I'm always interested to learn about new stuff. This one I think goes there. This one goes here. One's going to go here. And this one goes here. Wow, that's quite different. You can definitely see more activity going on over by the zoo with our big bridge. This really got filled out here when we added that new building. Pretty impressive there, actually. Once we get more buildings in there, this is going to start to look really, really massive. And then over here, we've got our new church building. And it's interesting to see this building roof, because of the copper, kind of change color over time. Pretty cool. Gosh, it's crazy. You know, we ran up here and we found these mountains, which were really, really cool. And obviously there's all of this that we haven't explored. And right now we're just kind of hanging out right here building a city. There's so much left to do. It's just crazy. So we can take Landscape Arboretum off the wall of tasks. Between city projects and zoo projects, we'll squeeze in a few of these other projects here as well. There's some of them, for example, like a prismarine farm. It'd be nice to have some of those materials. And an Enderman farm, I could definitely use some of that XP to heal up some of my tools. But I think that's where I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you had fun. Please like and subscribe if you want to follow along on the adventure. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.